We're going to watch Exploring Cthulhu Mythology Cthulhu by the Exploring series. I feel like I don't know anything about Cthulhu except that, that he is Cthulhu and he has tentacles?
The Great Dreamer. The Sleeper of Urlier. The Slumbering One. Great Cthulhu. Chances are very likely that at some point in your life you've seen a depiction of Cthulhu or heard a reference to him. The Great Green Ancient One is by far the most famous entity in the Cthulhu Mythos, and thus a fitting starting point for our series.
Cthulhu Mythos? Wait, is his name not Cthulhu? Is he named the Great Green One? Quackthulhu, the duck who quacks. Oh my god. I love Lovecrafting horror. I really love Lovecrafting horror. That's why Bloodborne's really high up on my favorite game list.
We're going to take a look at the literary history of Cthulhu, as well as give a brief description of his mythological background within the Mythos universe. First, a note on pronunciation.
A note on pronunciation? Am I saying his name wrong? Cthulhu has a dad? Of course, somebody would have had to birth him. Wait. What does Cthulhu's mom look like? You can't pronounce his name right? Okay, let's learn about it.
Lovecraft himself gave several differing pronunciations of the creature's name throughout his life, including Cthulhu, with a heavy guttural first syllable. The most common pronunciation, however, is Cthulhu, popularized much later after Lovecraft's death. The truth of the matter is, this is an alien name meant to be spoken in an alien tongue, so no answer is truly right. Since Cthulhu is the most common pronunciation, that is what I will continue to use. Contrary to popular belief, Cthulhu was only ever featured in a single story by Howard Phillips Lovecraft, The Call of Cthulhu, published.
Ah, that makes sense. Even though he's like the face of it, I think because I feel like Cthulhu embodies Lovecraftian horror. You know, that kind of like the scary, creepy, crawly darkness, another dimension, that exists out there, something of the unknown. I think that's why he's become the mascot for it. Just another manic Monday.
In 1928, Lovecraft very rarely showcased any of the ancient beings, including Great Cthulhu, in his stories, so The Call of Cthulhu is a bit of a special case. The story, in typical Lovecraftian fashion, is told through various letters, manuscripts, and conversations. The climax of the story is the terrifying account of a sailor directly encountering Cthulhu as the Great Old One emerges from his home in sunken Urlier. Cthulhu's name was mentioned in a few others of Lovecraft's stories and letters, but it was other writers that really ran with the concept of Cthulhu and Urlier. Writers such as August Derleth, Robert...
Interesting. Other writers really loved Cthulhu. That's interesting. I'm shivering. It's just what I do. It's part of the tracking. I'm also a little tiny gremlin. They give me like little chihuahua.
Robert Bloch, Charles Stross, Neil Gaiman, and many, many others have taken Lovecraft's foundations and brought Cthulhu to many different locales and situations, from ancient past to modern day. You can easily find collections of books with just stories featuring Cthulhu. Cthulhu's backstory within the mythos, let me make one thing clear. The concept of canon doesn't care
to drink water and keep yourself hydrated tonight.
Yes, I'm super hydrated, Taka. I think I'm the most hydrated streamer on the internet.
Carry much weight within the mythos. Many different writers have given wildly varying accounts of Cthulhu, his thoughts and intentions, or lack thereof, and his history. What I'm going to present to you for Cthulhu's story is common info that I have available to me, but feel free to believe or make up whatever you want. After all, that's what Lovecraft did, and he fully encouraged others to do the same.
I love that. You should be able to make things up. I always find it really funny when SCP people are just like, you have to follow the rules. SCPs are only the way the SCPs follow the rules. SCPs I can do. It's all made up. Let's just have fun, guys.
Cthulhu was likely born on the planet Vural, located in the 23rd Nebula. His father is Nug, his grandparents Yog-Sothoth and Shub-Niggurath, and his great-grandfather is Azathoth himself. At some point, he traveled to the binary star of Zoth, where he mated and produced the Great Old Ones known as Gtanothwa, Ethogtha, and Zothamog. Cthulhu and his children traveled then to Saturn, followed by Earth, along with a species known as the Star Spawn of Cthulhu. It's unclear.
See, I think Cthulhu's the most popular because He's the easiest one to pronounce. Osmogosti's nuts. Oh my god.
Clear where the star spawn originated from, but it's possible that the shape-shifting aliens worshipped Great Cthulhu and changed their form to resemble the deity. Regardless, the alien group landed on a continent in the Pacific Ocean, and they built the great stone city of Earlier, made from strange green stones and pieced together in ways that are foreign to any human design. Upon their arrival, the aliens received immediate resistance from another species known as the Elder Things, who had lived on the planet for millennia. The Elder Things were no strangers to war, which we'll cover in a different video, but eventually the two groups came to an agreement, and the planet was shared for the time being. Cthulhu and his spawn enjoyed the freedom of the planet Earth, but at some point, Cthulhu went into a deep hibernation within Earlier. The reasons for this are unclear. During his hibernation, humanity evolved on Earth, and Cthulhu often communicated with individuals through dreams, slowly creating the cult of Cthulhu. Disaster eventually struck the corpse city of Earlier, though, sinking the city, Cthulhu, and much of the continent into the ocean. Reasons for this disaster vary, from changes in the moon or stars, to an attack by other ancient aliens, or even a secret weapon from the Elder Things. Regardless, though, Cthulhu and his spawn were trapped under the ocean and left with little to do other than wait. Earlier has risen out of the ocean at various times, but never for very long. The cult of Cthulhu has continued to grow throughout the ages, and as they meet in secrecy, they chant of the day when Earlier will rise permanently out of the ocean. And
for some reason, the lore, or the mythology, or whatever, this is not as cool as I was expecting it to be. It's not as dark. It's just like, oh, they're aliens, and they had to fight over Earth. Like, what? That doesn't seem that cool.
And Dread Cthulhu will retake the world. As mentioned, Cthulhu is by far the most popular entity from the entire Cthulhu mythos, to the point where the entire fictional universe is named after him. Lovecraft himself, however, favored the term Yog-Sothory to refer to the collection of entities and artifacts. I offer two main reasons to why Cthulhu is so well known in popular culture. First and foremost is Cthulhu's image itself. Cthulhu is instantly recognizable in the grand majority of artistic depictions of him, because it's a very concrete form. He's almost always depicted as vaguely anthropoidal, with an octopus head, a mass of tentacles on his face, claws, wings, and a lot of green. Other entities in the Cthulhu mythos tend to be a bit harder to describe and vary from writer to writer. Yog-Sothoth, Shub-Niggurath, and Azathoth are often described as just masses of bubbles, tentacles, flesh, mouths, teeth, and other vague appendages. When you look at an image of Cthulhu, you generally know exactly what you're looking at. This has helped a lot with recognition, but it helps that Cthulhu is often well regarded for his image.
He does have a pretty solid image, guys. He's pretty marketable. I've seen some cute ass Cthulhus out there. I don't play Roblox because I feel like majority of people on Roblox are like under 18, and I don't like to associate myself with under 18-year-olds.
Whether the depiction is meant to be cool or scary or adorable, Cthulhu can cover a lot of ground. Secondly, Cthulhu represents a very real and tangible fear. Lovecraft was inspired by his own fear of water and the ocean when he created Cthulhu, and it's a fairly common fear amongst people.
See, that's the thing. That's why I feel like a lot of Lovecraftian horror comes from, that fear of the unknown, that darkness. Like, what's when you're in the ocean and underneath is just nothing but darkness and scariness, and what's down there? A big freaking tentacle man.
Sure, pondering on our existence and place within the grand scheme of the cosmos can certainly be scary, but the dark depths of water is something that for a lot of people is a much closer, realer fear. Combining the unknown aspect of a deep ocean with...
I mean, we technically know more about space than we know about the ocean.
The monstrosity of a giant alien slumbering beneath us is definitely a very effective way to get into people's heads. A smaller reason, perhaps, is a bit of a snowball effect because of the other two reasons. Cthulhu has been featured in many, many different types of media, from books, to films, to video games, to board games, and across the internet in many different forms. Cthulhu has become a firm part of popular culture, and many people's first interaction with the Cthulhu mythos involved the slumbering one himself. The Call of Cthulhu RPG has been a big part of spreading Cthulhu and the mythos across the world, and very often when people ask what story they should read to be introduced to the Cthulhu mythos, the answer is The Call of Cthulhu.
I wonder, I should listen to the story. I've never read the story, to be honest. A quote from Lovecraft himself: "The oldest human emotion is fear, and the oldest fear is fear of the unknown." That makes sense. I mean, I think that's why people would like create gods for like because they were so afraid of things. And one of the biggest thing to be afraid of is death, because death is the ultimate unknown. So if you create a god, then you can make your own stories of what happens to death because you're in denial.
Cthulhu is a very important part of the mythos, but he's certainly not the most interesting part of it. We'll be getting to more creatures and deities within the mythos in other videos. I hope this video has been possibly entertaining, possibly informative, and I'll see you fine folks next time.
Short and sweet and interesting. I didn't even know there was so much lore around this. Is this another hole I need to dive into?